Is still rich. Our access program, in spite of those reductions, is still a very rich program. It's still above average across the nation. So, we're still the generous people. I've got to, you don't want her feelings, but yeah, being candid, I don't believe it's government's role to be involved in healthcare decisions at all. I don't think it's my role. I don't think it should be involved in healthcare. I don't think government should be involved in a lot of things that it's involved in. Our job is to protect, again, your life, your liberty, and your property. And I know, like Ronald Reagan said, and I love to quote Ronald, that the closest thing to eternal life is a government program. They never seem to go away. So, it is a challenge. Anytime you take something back, even though it was rich, even though they didn't earn it, even though it wasn't theirs to give, boy, there's a battle. And we get the halls are full of lobbyists down there figuring out how to spend your money or wanting more, from my understanding.
Russell, I think some people here want to know about Olivia Cortez and what you knew about it and when and that kind of thing.
Good question.
I'll ask the question.
I don't know Olivia Cortez. Never met Olivia Cortez. Was looking forward to meeting her at the debate. And that day, I think it was that day she dropped out. A lot of times, and again, I'm very candid here. Olivia Cortez, I wish she hadn't been on the ballot. I wish whoever thought they were doing a good thing. And she says she's a legitimate candidate. I don't know her, never talked to her. That's beside the point. I wish it hadn't happened. But she did have a right to do that, just like Jerry Lewis. Randy Press came from Berkeley, community organizer, far left liberal, doesn't even live in our district, and yet was able to orchestrate a recall. Olivia Cortez at least was recruited, at least my understanding is, by folks who live in our district. She had a right to run. Let me tell you what I think is a crisis or a sad story that nobody gets out. Jerry Lewis and his camp went to Olivia Cortez, as they did other candidates, talked him out of running. Tried to talk her out of running. And she refused to drop out. So then she was sued. She's a retired, I don't know if she's retired, but anyway, I know she was retired is what the paper said. Think about it. I think, where's Doria Allred? This gal was intimidated and threatened to drop out through lawsuits and so forth. To me, that's a real story. I think it's sad. She had a right to run as much as Jerry Lewis had a right to run. Who is to decide a sham candidate? Because you don't like the way they run the campaign? You don't like who recruited them? I think that's the real story, and it's a shame. But anyway, to stand and make it very clear, I don't know her, never met her, knew nothing about it, was never involved in any degree. I had a couple of family members, in fact, kind of tender, because one of them came over again last night, shedding big tears. She's in my office afraid that she's done great damage because she gathered some signatures, but she did it for pay. She's done it for 20 years, paid signature together, but never thought about the backfire that would happen because she doesn't have a Pearce last name. And so she never really thought about it. And she's heartbroken over it. And I feel bad for her. It's not her fault. Yet the press has been pretty mean to her. She's a sweet gal who did what she thought was right and what she had a right to do, and now she's, more than broken-hearted over it. And she's fearful. The biggest thing that breaks her heart is she's afraid she's doing damage to my campaign. And it probably has, because they continue to use this as if I was behind it. You're very young, and by the way, I now, instead of listening to very young, I turned to an NPR station so I can get a conservative person. But you hear very young almost every day take cheap shots, manufacturing his own truth. It's pretty disappointing. I'm a big enough man. If I do something, I'll tell you, and I'll admit to it. I do what I say I'm going to do. I've never broken a promise to my district. Never. I fight hard for property rights. I've written legislation to stop the abuse of eminent domain. The property that the city was trying to steal on Main Street in Country Club, remember that? On Bailey's Brake Shop. We worked very close. I wrote legislation. I and Eddie Farnsworth on that. I wrote the legislation to make Arizona the #1 state in the nation on Second Amendment. I've been at the front of the parade on creating school choice for parents so they can make decisions for their children. I've been the #1 legislator in the state by the taxpayer groups. And I think I may have mentioned this, don't mean to repeat myself if I did. I'm at the age where sometimes I say things that I'm impressed with that I've never heard of before. But I can tell you, I've always been there in defense of liberty and freedom and less government, less taxes. I've always done what I promised. And folks, good people can disagree, and I know that. And it's okay. In fact, if you guys are all married, most of you at least, couple of exceptions here. Sometimes we can disagree with those we love the most, and it's okay. It is okay to disagree in an agreeable manner. And I'm okay with people disagreeing with me, even my wife. And usually I apologize because usually she's the right one, I'm the wrong one. But the truth is, it's okay. But I always do what I promise to do. I've never, ever not kept a promise. Doesn't mean you always win, but I have fought and championed every issue that I promised to do. And I will continue to do that. Not bashful. I don't apologize for being in America. I don't apologize for being limited government. I don't apologize for saying no to folks who want your money. I don't apologize for demanding our borders be secured and our laws be enforced. I don't apologize for telling government they better have a darn good reason for they come in and take your personal property for whatever reason they think is a better reason than you have to the right to use your property for. And I won't apologize for anybody. In fact, when we passed the Senate Bill 1108, the Freedom to Carry Act, had some good guys come to me who thought that's going a little too far. And they're telling me, Russell, you realize, well, now you don't have to get a permit to get a gun? I said, that's right. They said, isn't that dangerous? I said, you know why they call bad guys bad guys? Because they're bad guys. They don't follow the law. When you pass these kinds of laws, all you do is take the rights away from lawful citizens and their right to defend themselves, their families, or their property. That's not my job to decide. Policemen, and I've been in law enforcement most of my life, like I said, my boys are in law enforcement. Policemen are only minutes away when seconds count. It's not my job to put you in a dangerous position. It's your responsibility to protect yourself. I hope they're there in time to help. But it is your job. It will always be your job. Nobody can sit outside your house and guarantee your safety. And I refuse to take those rights away from you.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
The federal government's talking about, the Republican Party anyway, talking about taking away or reducing or stopping some legislation for small business startup fees, those types of things, regulations, doing away with those for the short term to spur business on. Is the state looking at doing anything like that?
The federal government's talking about reducing regulation?
Yes.
I'm going to have to see that report. I've not seen it.
Well, I was wondering,
I've never seen them reduce anything.
Well, one of the Republicans' jobs bill was trying to do
Well,
it.
probably so, and it probably will never get out of the Senate.
Right.
Yeah, the jobs bill, the one the president wants, is dead in the Senate.
No,
Now he wants to break it up into pieces. His $500 billion tax increase, so he can help you. Like Joe Biden says, the only way we can get out of this recession is to spend money. I find that amazing. I would never tell my children, you're in debt, you're about to be foreclosed on, you're about ready to file bankruptcy, go get another Visa card. It's the only way you'll survive. It doesn't work like, I'm amazed, you know. Apparently math is not their best subject. But anyway, yeah, we are going to do that in Arizona. We can do everything we can to remove those impediments. I've got a commitment with the governor to work with me. I got a bill 2 years ago for a 2-year moratorium on regulation, no new regulation. Well, that's about to end. I've talked to her. Please, let's continue to go with that. We have this panel working out. Let's start. These drive-by political statements have to stop. Let's get serious. Let me just make one statement that's really important. You have to understand why we have a time frame to do this in. We have 21 Republicans in the Senate, the largest Republican caucus we've ever had in the state of Arizona. It's a supermajority, 21. We have 4 out of 30. We have 40 Republicans in the House out of 60. We have a governor that is like-minded. If we can't make these changes now, we may never, ever, ever get the chance to do it again. So I am committed to pushing all the heavy work through this next session, including personnel reform. We're going to make it just like a business. You're hired at will in the state of Arizona. You know, we have people that are on administrative leave for a year. Done bad stuff. In a year. No more. We're going to hire you at will, fire you at will. We don't fire good people. But we're going to make government work more like the private sector, where we're not paying people to sit at home on administrative leave that you can't get rid of. I've never fired a good guy in my life. And I've ran the sheriff's office, former chief deputy. I've ran the motor vehicle division. I'm the director of MVD. I've never fired a good guy. I've never had a wrongful suit filed against for firing somebody improperly. Never. We just don't fire good guys. Now you always have exceptions or mistakes out there, but you can't rule that exception. You need to create an environment where you can move through efficiently and effectively and give people the ability and hold them accountable to do what's right. You got a question? Did you not have another question?
It's fine. Go ahead.
I did.
Oh, yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on the proposal that's back before the Board of Regents again to break up the university system? It sounds like it's just going to result in bloated overhead and
Actually, I think just the
and
opposite.
competing interests.
What's happening today is you have a Board of Regents over NAU, ASU, and U of A. Because it's one board over this, you don't have real competition. I think if you're, even Eddie Bashan, Eddie Bashan I don't agree on much, and he's a former Board of Regents, he said that needs to be broken up. He said every school ought to have its own board. I'd go so far enough to say they have their own board, called a president. Hold them accountable, let the governor make the appointment, and move on. What you want to create is competition. I'm a believer in higher ed vouchers. I believe you ought to go to wherever you want to go. We're going to pay for your education to a certain degree anyway. Let you go wherever. Let the private universities, most states have many more options than we have in the state of Arizona. Many more private colleges and opportunities. We don't have any real colleges. We have some private universities. You know, we have the community college. By the way, community college is a great system. I would also expand that to a 4-year college for only certain areas. The areas that are set up for it would not expand their mission. And that's public safety, fire science, teaching, and nursing. Those are people, for the most part, already in a career. And all they do is want to promote in their career, so they want to enhance their education. They go on to get a BA. They're already set up for it. Now, I wouldn't make it mandatory. I'd make it permissive. Some of the junior colleges are much more apt and able to do that than others. But I would expand school choice. I would expand the opportunities. I would expand, again, higher ed vouchers. Let you decide the university you want to go. Create real competition. Give ASU something to compete with, you know. And again, you know that 47% of the freshmen at ASU pay no tuition at all? At all? You wonder why we're running the middle class out of the ability to pay for an education? And you wonder why they have such a low rate of going forward from freshman to sophomore year on? Because they have no skin in the game. You know, and I think, you know, you guys know that. If I'm driving mom's car as a young kid, her gas, her car, I'm not going to drive nearly as careful as I am if those tires I'm paying for, and I'm paying for the gas, and I'm paying the maintenance on that car. And I'm not saying a high tuition. There has to be at least $1,000 to $2,000 for anybody going. So they have a responsibility, skin in the game, and have a motivation to go on. Free education, again, it's like healthcare. It's like John Stossel said. You think healthcare is expensive today, wait till it's free. When things are free, folks, you just don't have the same respect for it we do when we have to pay for it and work for it.
Senator,
Yes, sir.
why they don't force the law like in Alabama? Check the people who go to school here. See if they are citizens.
That's one of the bills that I got beat up for last year, and it didn't stop anybody from going. It's simply, well, it's hard to give a short answer to some of these questions. Sorry. We provide free education in K-12 to those who are in this country illegally because of a court decision in 1982 called Plyler v. Doe. And there was a 5-4 decision under Berger Court. It was a bad decision. They just ignored a 2-year decision before that that said they can't. Then they ignored the Constitution, said that we don't see the harm. And they based it on 3 things. One is we don't see the economic harm. Can't punish the children for the sins of the parents. And I'm trying to remember the third one now. But anyway, we know the cost today. In Arizona, you spend $1.2 billion a year just to educate children in our schools illegally, that are here illegally. And all Alabama did with theirs is they put it into that comprehensive bill that was modeled after 10-7. It's just data collection. They didn't say you can't go. It's just like shots or other, bring your birth certificate. I mean, we have to do that for lots of things. That's all it requires. And if you don't have it, they don't say you can't come. They just are going to document those that have proof of citizenship, those that don't. And the reason the liberals were so mad about it, because they know that we're setting it up for a lawsuit to go to the Supreme Court. We think we have a Supreme Court today that will rule 5-4 our favor to say, if you're in the country illegally, you don't have a right to taxpayers' funds. It's not a matter of being mean. It's a matter of the rule of law. You can't continue to incentivize people to break your laws. It'll never stop. So anyway, that's the purpose of it. We did do that, and again, it wouldn't have stopped them from going. It doesn't stop them from going in Alabama either. It's simply a data collection process, so the taxpayer has a right to know who they're paying.